What should I keep in mind prior to filing for a divorce if I have a marital agreement in place? Attorney Brian McNamara explains that. Firstly, a marital agreement, whether it's a prenuptial or postnuptial, is a contract. Even the most airtight contract can be bogged down in litigation for some period of time. A judge is simply not allowed to just read a contract and listen to what the lawyer says and say, "Okay, you win. Here's your judgment." Each side is entitled to have their day in court and be heard. As a simple example, in a commercial context, it is very frustrating for a seller who has delivered certain goods and knows the goods were delivered and the buyer just won't pay. The seller sues the buyer, expecting a quick resolution, but the buyer can bog it down for a few months in litigation. I used to have a law partner who referred to simple collection matters. I did the firm's civil litigation and never found one to be simple because generally the defendant would come up with some reason not to pay. They would claim something was wrong with the goods. This made the seller very frustrated because the goods were delivered, money was not paid, and now they are having to pay legal fees. Similarly, you may have a very good marital agreement, but it doesn't mean that a judge is just going to say, "Oh, you have an agreement? Let me sign your judgment. Bye. Have a nice life." If the other side wants to attempt to either enforce or defeat the marital agreement, they are allowed by law to attempt it, at least for a while. My advice is to adopt patience and understand the language of the agreement. If you want to enforce the agreement, the advantage of having a marital agreement is that the negotiations are different than if there was no agreement, and a trial would be very different if there was no agreement. Whether trying to enforce or invalidate a marital agreement, people must understand they could be in litigation for a while unless each spouse agrees to follow the agreement. Even though it's not an automatic immediate resolution by the judge, the existence of the agreement means that the outcome will be very different than if it did not exist. Contact attorney Brian McNamara in Houston, Texas for an initial consultation at 713-955-1844 or visit his website at www.houstonprenups.com.